It's often called the most important meal of the day, but breakfast can actually be very unhealthy. So let's talk about what to eat and what to avoid to fire up your GI tract. First, it's absurd to say that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. That'd be like me saying that I have a favorite kid. I love all my meals equally, and breakfast is a natural response to the cortisol surge that sets us in gear in the morning. People with physical jobs may load up on carbs and protein to power through their morning. I've rarely met a farmer who's not having a hearty breakfast of eggs, bacon, toast, or grits. There's a reasonable balance of protein, fats, and carbs to the country breakfast. But as farming has become less reliant on humans and more humans have desk jobs, eating habits need to also change. Most office workers should substantially reduce their caloric intake and avoid concentrated sweets that will give a quick sugar rush. Having a heavy breakfast can be like tying an anchor to yourself before you set out to swim. I would avoid fatty meats like bacon or sausage. I occasionally opt for these at dinner. Instead, at breakfast, I would focus on the other white proteins, like eggs and yogurt. I also avoid concentrated sweets like orange juice and maple syrup. Some of the worst concentrated sweets are those that are marketed most heavily as being healthy. Like these Honey Nut Cheerios. Are they actually heart healthy? It is true, soluble fiber in a reasonable amount as part of a total diet that is low in saturated fat and cholesterol is good for your heart. But the problem is that when they throw so much added sugar at you, they're more likely to win a race to cause diabetes than they are to actually benefit your heart. Like we've talked about many times in this channel, is you got to turn the box to the side and look at the actual nutrition label. And there you'll find that Honey Nut Cheerios have the overwhelming ingredient of sugar. Now, true, the very first ingredient is whole wheat, but they have so much added sugar that they're actually, as a proportion, delivering more of your daily sugar than they are of anything else. So ultimately, Honey Nut Cheerios may be a healthier dessert, and it remains that plain Cheerios are pretty good for you. A big benefit to breakfast is promoting regularity, where it really counts, in the bathroom. If you have a good breakfast and a morning cup of coffee, you're almost certain to be pooping by mid-morning. Along with that, it helps to have a relatively stable mix of macronutrients. What I mean by that is you don't want to one day have a really heavy fatty meal because that is not going to promote regularity. Try to have a balanced amount of protein, carbs, and lean fats day to day, and that steadiness will keep you steady. Now, some patients may find that they have several bowel movements in the morning. This is because of a strong gastrocolic reflex. When you wake up your stomach, it kickstarts your whole GI tract. And for some people, they may really feel like they woke up on the wrong side of bed. And again, it helps to have fiber to promote that regularity, but these frequent bowel movements may also be because you're having too strong of coffee. So see if by adapting your brew, you feel better. Another common culprit is having dairy. So milk at breakfast might be substituted with a plant-based milk, like soy milk or almond milk. Finally, it can sometimes be a problem that you didn't completely evacuate at the first bowel movement. And to aid that, use a step stool. This lifts your feet up and sits you in a comfortable position that is a more natural squat. Now, we can't talk about regularity without talking about fiber. And just as there's a secret ingredient to fluffy pancakes, fiber is the secret ingredient to a fluffy formed poop. I encourage people to foremost get their fiber from vegetables, but unless you're throwing some spinach or mushrooms into your omelet, you're more likely going to look towards my second pick, which is to get fiber from fruit. And breakfast is a great time to throw a lot of fruit into the mix. Fiber from grains, like cereal, is a relatively distant third. Bran fiber is often a good source, but for many people, raisin bran may not be the best way to get it for a couple of reasons. Bran tends to cause people to have bloating, and so if that's you, you may want to shy away from it. The other problem is that, again, they're labeling this as heart healthy, yet outside of their marketing department, I'm not really sure that there's a nutritionist or a physician who would vouch for that. I certainly won't because, again, they're adding more in the way of added sugar and salt than they are actually giving you the healthiest of fibers. So we have talked about what to avoid, and in particular the cereals to avoid. So if I was to have a cereal, what would I have? Oatmeal. Oats actually do deliver good quality fiber. It doesn't tend to cause as much bloating, and it does so without a lot of sugar or salt. And so this is actually heart healthy. And a good way to do it is to make overnight oats. because the fact is, it's pretty hard to make these from scratch first thing in the morning. A bit of fruit to add some sweetness, and some nuts or chia seeds to add even more protein and fiber, and you've got a really good mix. Just do be careful because certain nuts and chia seeds may cause you to have some bloating. What about whipping up a smoothie? Well, smoothies can have many healthy ingredients so long as you're careful not to have a juice base. But I do hesitate from recommending these for most people because the problem is, as a liquid, they go through your stomach relatively quickly. And I don't think that they're going to sustain you through the morning as a more solid breakfast would. For a patient with gastroparesis, though, this can be just perfect because it won't sit in their stomach quite so long. While the options for healthy breakfast may seem limited, think of these as a base and a place to start and get creative from there. Thank you for watching and be safe.